While racing certainly wasn't immune to the impact of last year's initial wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, it was one of the first, especially in our region, to return to action. When it did, so too did the dangers that accompany the sport itself. That, unfortunately, is something Grand Forks native and NOSA Sprint star Mark Dobmeier experienced firsthand. In this week's Inside Track, Midco SN's Jeremy Klein has an update on Dobmeier's road to recovery.
Will get the win. Parker Price Miller second, but the transfer spot side by side down the back straight. They touch, and Dobmeier is upside down. Mark Dobmeier flipping into turn number 3.
It has been just under a full calendar year since Mark Dobmeier's horrific accident at Cedar Lake Speedway last July. One that left him with a back injury and brought his sprint car racing career to a screeching halt. Now, he continues his recovery process and awaits the green light from his doctors to make his season's debut.
Feeling really good. Everything's going better than planned, actually. Things are going excellent. I'm back to a normal life, you could say, working the radiator shop and the bond office and raising my 2 kiddos. And I'm back to a normal life. I feel like I'm ready for it. I felt like I was ready for it at the beginning of the year. We knew it was going to be last minute when it was a final yay or nay, because it was right before race season. I had that final CT scan where they made the decision, and at that point they told me I had to hold off for a little bit longer. So it's just going to feel great to jump back in that car and get ripping again.
Dobmeier is still recovering after what is known as a burst fracture in part of his spine, one that is currently being held together by screws and rods. Although doctors do not think his back is robust enough for him to race quite yet, this time off from behind the wheel has given him an opportunity to see racing from a different lens.
Probably been good for me in the long run. You know, I've sat back in the stands a lot and watched the races, and kind of a different perspective than what I've been through my whole life. Seen other aspects of it and noticed different things of, you know, how other people drive and aspects of the track and whatnot. So hopefully it'll be a good thing. I can learn from a few things from it.
Despite not being able to sit behind the wheel of the number 13 car himself, Dobmeier and his team have found a temporary replacement, one who has been continuing the team's winning ways.
So I actually drove for Dave Lunstra in like a super last-minute deal at Huset's a few weeks ago.
They went to run the first opener at Huset Speedway, and they didn't get their motor back in time, so I said, hey, no problem, I'll help you out. So I sent them down a motor.
And I got there super late. Like I literally got there like 5 minutes before the driver's meeting.
So I went down there to just help them out a little bit, whatnot. Dominic was driving and talked to him at that point and said, hey, what are you doing for the Outlaw shows here in Huset's? And so that worked out good with the schedule he's got going in California.
You know, it was one of those things. I'd known him for a while, and I'd been friends with him for a long time, so it just kind of worked out perfectly.
And there's just a great group of guys that have stood behind me through this whole thing, and they've all been willing to say, hey, whenever you're ready, we're right here for you again too. But I just think it's very important to be out here at these big Outlaw shows.
With Dobmeier's timetable to return set for mid-July, Selzy will continue to pilot the number 13 car and soak in this time of working with one of the top sprint car racers in the Midwest.
Mark is one of those guys that he's had success everywhere. Not only has he had success up here, he's had success at Huset's, Knoxville, all throughout the Midwest. He's won more races than most guys have ever entered in their lives. So to team up with a guy that is such a great guy, such an incredible family, he's got fast race cars, he's got a team that's willing to win and knows how to win. I mean, it's been incredible this season.
It has been a long 11 months without racing for Mark Dobmeier, and what keeps his engine going is all the support he's gotten from the racing community.
I broke my back back in 2015. So when he was there, I was actually racing there at Cedar Lake the same night, and I gave some friends of his and some of the crew members some insight on kind of what I was going through at that point in time, which I think was probably helpful for him.
It's been a very humbling experience for me. I mean, from right away to the time till where I'm sitting at right now, there's been people by my side the whole time, and when it was first happened, the outreach of support, not only just locally, I mean, across the U.S., there were several people that were right there to support us and help us out and do everything they could to help me and the team out and get back where we needed to. So it's a very humbling experience.
That again was Jeremy Klein reporting. Dobmeier, who is easing his way back onto the track by providing occasional rides to fans in his 2-seater, expects doctors to give his return the green light by mid-July. As for Selzy, he'll have plenty on his plate this summer. In addition to filling in for Dobmeier, he and his girlfriend are expecting their first child in just under 1 month.